This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Not everyone is careful with your personal information, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the US. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year by visiting lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Lights, camera, innovation. Walt Disney Studios chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to transform the movie-making process. Together, we kept a remote production hub in Hawaii in sync with a team in California to bring Lilo and Stitch to theaters this summer. This is picture-perfect collaboration. This is Walt Disney Studios with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
There's nothing like summer in New York City.
Running pretty New York City girl.
With its hot days and even hotter nights.
Hello, this is Kathy, and this is the Cinema, the podcast where we record our walk home from the movies, which comes out every Sunday. But I have stolen the podcast feed, and I am doing a mini-series on And Just Like That Season 3, because I just can't help myself. And I have a guest for episode 1. Rosemary McCabe is back to talk about this show with me. Thank you for coming back, Rosemary.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
We had so much fun last time we talked about this. We kind of reviewed the whole of season 2, and we had such a blast. It got such a positive reception. Got a lot of messages about that episode, so I thought we have to come back. I'm going to do season 3, and I need Rosemary to be my first guest. Rosemary is a podcaster, author, journalist. She's the exact woman who should be talking about Carrie Bradshaw. How did you feel coming into season 3? And you've curly hair.
Oh, and I've curly hair.
Yeah.
And I've like, my memoir was all about dating. So actually, Carrie Bradshaw and I are the same person, but I'm much younger than she is. Actually, my nephew told me yesterday something like, "Aren't you 50?" And I said, "Fuck you." And then I was like, shouldn't say that to a 14-year-old. Anyway, my thoughts coming into this series. I have zero recollection of anything that happened. Like, I'm vaguely aware that Big died because there was the whole Peloton scandal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also vaguely aware that Carrie is now with Aiden. But I remembered next to nothing else. Like, truly, as I watched the recap, and I made sure to watch the recap before I started this new episode, I was like, what? Who is this person? Who is this? Like, I kept having to Google, like Indian realtor lady. And I was like, oh, that's Seema.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, Googling the other one, like PBS show lady. And I was like, oh, that's Lisa Todd Wexley. I had truly no recollection. And the other thing that I thought going into this specific episode was 45 minutes. I was like, I'm going to have to watch this for 45 minutes because I was really hoping it'd be a nice, neat 30 minutes. Because I think the original Sex and the City was 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, that'd be nice. And I'll watch a little 30-minute episode. 45 minutes felt too long. And it did feel too long.
Yeah. It's funny because we actually watched it 2 years ago. That's when we caught up about this last, which is a long time. Like, TV shows are coming back longer and longer, I think. And I rewatched some of the last season ahead of this, and I listened to our episode so you did know a lot about it last time we spoke, I swear. And then I also have been listening to I've been interested to listen to some of the Writers Room podcasts that the show's creator does. So Michael Patrick King, who made the original and this, yeah, he takes it really seriously. He puts a lot of thought into it. You know, he loves the characters kind of as much as we do the original characters. So I find it interesting that we are where we are with And Just Like That, which is a series that has caused so much conversation. And I think it's unreal. Like, I genuinely feel like for me, it's my Super Bowl. It's my Lord of the Rings. It's my Star Wars. It's what I think about. I've never endingly fascinated when I compare And Just Like That to Sex and the City, generally unfavorably. But I still come back and watch it. And like in our Patreon, we've such a deep love for this show. And a lot of our patrons, we've like these really deep chats about it, which I absolutely love. But it's so strange then to turn it on and be like, it's 45 minutes. There's like 8 different plots happening. Who are these people, as you say?
Are there?
Yeah,
I wouldn't call them plots.
The storylines.
I mean, like truly, I would watch 100 seasons of this show. Mm-hmm. Like, I would watch this every night like EastEnders for the rest of my life.
Same.
And I hate it with a fiery passion because I loved Sex and the City, and I still love Sex and the City. Although I don't think it's aged great, and I think watching it back now, there's a lot of stuff that I find problematic, and there's also just a lot of stuff that I'm like, you guys all just need to, like Carrie especially, you just need to go to more therapy. I know that sounds very American of me, like I don't even go to therapy right now, but like there's a lot of stuff in the show that I'm like, oh, it doesn't quite look the same now as it did back then. But I still love it. But this I hate, and yet, yes, like Emily in Paris, which is created by the other co-creator of Sex and the City, right, Darren Star. I would watch Emily in Paris probably every night for the rest of my life. I hate that too. So maybe it says more about me.
I tried Emily in Paris. See, I get into it just like that because of the Sex and the City history. I couldn't get into Emily in Paris. The thing with the original Sex and the City as well, it's a lovely time capsule. Like after I watched the And Just Like That season 3 premiere last night, it like rolled into the Sex and the City pilot, which is a dangerous thing because that is quite a good pilot, and then you're kind of even more comparing it. I mean, it's really hammy and corny, but it's just really tight and it's really well made. But it's interesting coming in. I feel like we talked last time about how season 2 had gotten into its stride a bit because season 1 was so overshadowed by the death of Big and the absence of Samantha.
Yeah.
And this time, I do feel like they are getting on their feet a bit because they've lost a couple of characters. So they've lost Shay, who I really liked, but Shay was always just a romantic interest of Miranda, and I felt like Shay having so much screen time was distracting. And then we've lost is it Dr. Naya?
Dr. Naya.
Who of the 3 new characters I think might have been my favourite. So I'm sorry to lose her.
And I also felt like she had a kind of a vaguely Sex and the City-ish storyline in that she and her husband were kind of having problems and they were trying to have kids, and weren't they talking about opening up their relationship at one point? And you know, there were a lot of things in her plot and her character plot that I felt like hit on points from the show. So it would have made more sense for me to keep her.
Yeah.
Like, and I actually do really like Seema. It's Lisa Todd Wexley I could get rid of, honestly, and mostly because of her hateful husband. But we'll probably get to that.
We'll get to him. Yeah. The Dr. Naya thing. Yeah. I'm sorry. Like there was too many characters, so I'm glad they've culled. But I believe she's gone off to do other projects. I think she was in the Judy Blume classic.
Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret?
No, Forever. Did you see they've adapted that?
No.
Yeah, it's an adaptation, which was a seminal book in my childhood. I absolutely loved.
Same. And do you think they're going to call the penis Ralph again?
I don't
Sorry,
know.
This is a total sidebar now. But in Forever, they call the guy, like the teenage boyfriend's penis, Ralph.
I had the same thought, but then I couldn't get past the pilot because I realized I was too old to watch it, and it's set with modern day teenagers, and like she's the mom in it. She's really good, but I was just like, I'm too old. I'm just going to go back and read the book again. So I can't answer the Ralph question. It's on Netflix if you're interested to watch it. But anyway, she's also in the morning show.
Absolutely going to watch it.
Yeah. She's also in the morning show. So she just had scheduling conflicts. And to be honest, I say she's made the right decision. But I miss her. Shay, I liked Shay and I like the character of Shay, but happy to see them gone. And then the other like kind of characters that we haven't seen in this episode yet, which I'm kind of glad not to see as well, is Steve and Brady. Because again, all that stuff was really overstuffed last time.
Oh, I forgot about them entirely, even though Miranda did mention Brady, but I was just like, oh, blank, just get rid. I don't care about them.
Yeah.
At all.
They might come back, but we didn't see them this episode. We did see Charlotte's kids, which I'm so sick. Like, I love kids. I love my kids. Do I come to Sex and the City or and Just Like That to watch plot lines about teenagers and kids? No. Absolutely no interest.
Nor I. And one of the things that I noticed, and I mean, I know we're going to do a full recap, but one of the things I noticed specifically in the scene with Charlotte and her kids is that the only people who can act in this entire show are Carrie and Miranda.
Yeah.
The kids are truly terrible. And like, I understand you've cast these kids and you don't want to change the actors, but like, could they not have done some intensive acting lessons between the last season and this one? Because I mean, and also Harry is terrible now.
Oh, Harry is
good in the show.
Beyond. And actually we spoke about him.
He's like a pantomime clown. Like, he's terrible.
Like, the thing is, the kids are terrible actors, and my solution to that is just don't show us the kids anymore. She's moved on from being the stay-at-home mom character. She's now out and about in the gallery. We can just don't need to see her home life. That's where I'd go with that, because I think recasting them is probably a bit tricky because they haven't aged. It's easier when there's like a time jump on kids.
Oh, true. But I do think for that, like, in order to stop showing her home life, they're going to have to give Charlotte an actual storyline, which they're clearly struggling with. So we'll get on to that.
If I was being like, before we get into it, and we are going to discuss character by character what happened in this episode, by the way, if I was culling anyone, like Samantha's gone. I'd actually get rid of Charlotte now. But like Charlotte served a purpose. She can pop up at the odd brunch. I think as a main character, this episode proves they don't know what to do with Charlotte. They've nothing to give her. Harry's terrible.
Yeah.
The kids are boring. I don't care that her daughter buys from Shein. I don't care that her daughter has a crush on someone in the ballet. Like, what am I watching?
No, and I mean, I think Charlotte always served as the kind of like, I think in the imagining of the creator, she would have been the moral compass of the show, in the sense of we need a moral compass to champion monogamy. We need a moral compass to champion love and soulmates. And in a way, those ideas themselves have got very dated. We don't need anybody anymore to be going, oh, but don't you want to find the love of your life? Don't you want to find a husband? I found a husband and I'm so happy. Like, that all feels very, very old fashioned. So you're right. Like, Charlotte doesn't really serve any purpose anymore. And except for they're trying to kind of make her the comedy relief, I think. But she was never like a comedic character. She was kind of only funny by accident.
Yeah.
Because she was so kind of innocent and earnest and naive in a way about the kind of cynical side of love and dating. But now I'm like, I mean, I suppose that's the problem. Like, what do they do with her?
Yeah.
Because, like, to your point, they're not going to get rid of her.
Yeah, I know.
And I mean, maybe this is their way of kind of phasing her out. Like, her storyline this episode was not was a side quest, like, and I use the term quest very generously.
Yes, I like seeing Charlotte. Maybe we'll get into the plots now, because I like seeing Charlotte around the other characters, like supporting them. I don't see it on our own plots, and they don't work. So yeah, we get to Carrie in this episode. So if we remember, when we finished season 2, Carrie made a promise to Aidan that she will wait for him for 5 years. They will not speak because he is so concerned about his son Wyatt. Now,
I am rolling my eyes. I literally wrote down, fuck Wyatt, all in capital letters, and then fuck Aidan, and then 5 years, and this is while I was watching the recap. I was just like, what the fuck?
So funny.
The stupidest agreement to come to.
When I listened to the Writers' Room podcast, I was interested to hear what they had to say about it. And actually they said they think that Carrie made that promise in the moment because she doesn't want to lose Aidan, but that Carrie doesn't actually think it will be 5 years, and it won't be 5 years. And when you come back this episode, it very much feels like that, because she's kind of, she knows Aidan's going to get in touch, but they're sending each other these blank postcards. Like, it's a bit tragic, isn't it?
The whole thing, her storyline is really tragic, right? She has, her rich husband has died, and that's the least tragic part of it. She's now like a gazillionaire and lives in this incredible house at like Gramercy Park, right? This huge house, all on her own. And her life now seems to be dedicated to decorating the house, which, fine, maybe that's a dream for a lot of women. As I say that, I'm like, that could actually be a dream for me.
I mean, honestly, it sounds like.
But she's waiting for Aidan, who has gone back to Virginia because, and I mean, this is also, there's a real plot hole here. His son was in a car accident. I think he was drink driving, right? His 15-year-old or 16-year-old son. But like, if you have a 15-year-old or 16-year-old son, you're not moving to another state without him. Do you know what I mean? Like you have a minor child. What are you doing moving to New York for the woman you like? Why isn't she moving to Virginia? And I know we already covered that. Like, Carrie tried to move to the country for Aidan before and it didn't work. So like, but I think there is a problem with bringing him back and with this storyline because it just isn't realistic.
Yeah, there's a world where, like, I think
don't know.
they were like, there's a world where you have a long distance relationship and he visits on weekends when the kids are with their mom, whatever. The show just, I don't know why, bypassed all of that and was like, well, now Aidan won't see you for 5 years and you've sold your apartment for this man. Like, Aidan is gone from being like one of my big crushes to being the world's biggest ick.
Oh, we'll get to Aidan's ick now shortly, but absolute ick. And also another terrible actor, in that I thought he was good in the series, but now he's really hammy and really bad. And I don't know if they all just took too much of a break, but he's not good.
I think something's changed in the both the writing and the directing of this show, that people who previously worked in these roles now don't work. And what's different there? And like, he didn't take that much time off. He's been in a lot of stuff, unlike, say, Charlotte, who probably wasn't in much. Like, I mean, it's unforgivable, but also, how could he have acted this episode in any way attractively? Whereas before, we used to see him doing, you know, quote unquote hot things like making furniture and being quite sexy. And now we're seeing him like whack off in a truck. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I was just about to say, I mean, I don't, on principle, find the idea of watching a man having a wank distasteful necessarily. Do you know what I mean? That I'm like, that could be a sexy. See, I read a lot of smutty books. That could be a sexy moment. But it really wasn't. And actually, I think one of the problems with a lot of these actors is that they've had too much work done and his teeth are too white. And there was a bit while he was like, while he was having a go at himself in the truck, and he was kind of doing this weird gurning face where you could see his bottom teeth. I was trying to do it on FaceTime to my sister last night, and I couldn't. I was like, I don't know how the bottom teeth even show up. But it was just, his teeth are too white. His teeth were too much of a. His teeth were distracting me from what was actually happening.
I did not notice his teeth.
But sorry, I mean, so Carrie's waiting for Aiden. She's sending him these tragic postcards. They have phone sex, which is the point that we've got to now with him having the wank in the truck. He's not just like in the truck on his own.
But
He's
only when he calls her. Like, this is what's very alarming. He's like, we will not speak, but I will phone you out of the blue and expect you to have phone sex with me. And that's pretty weird. Yes.
Oh, it's totally not even a text.
Yeah.
To go, are you in bed? Can I call you? And then she said, yeah, I'm in bed, but you can call. Then you're like, great, primed and ready.
Yeah, it feels almost like unconsensual. And then he's like, oh, well, makes a joke about Wyatt and drinking. And I'm like, well, don't joke about that. That's quite serious, actually. And then he's like,
yes.
We've never seen Carrie have a phone sex scene before. Like, this is new territory for us and Cara. And for her, you feel that she is a bit, oh, okay. Like, at the beginning of this episode, you feel like Carrie is very at the mercy of Aiden. And I'm really looking forward to, and I hope in this season, that relationship dynamic changing. But I think in this moment she was like, this is really hot, but then the whole horn honking thing happened, and then like she fakes what she says.
You said horn honking.
She said this is the first time she ever faked it with Aiden, and she didn't fake it very convincingly, and he didn't care.
Oh my god, her faking it was so bad.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
It's funny you mentioned that you thought his teeth looked funny, because like just him licking his hand, I was like, I can't like that was so scary.
Sorry, I wrote a lot of things down, so I'm not going to get to everything, but, oh my God, where is it now? Oh yeah, I ache for you. Oh my God, I almost had to switch it off at this scene. Touch yourself, man, that's a grown woman you're talking to. Why is Carrie wearing layers in bed? Oh my God, when he licks his hand, vom, vom, vom.
Oh.
Literally what I have written down.
This is literally my meme of the week, because like one of my favorite things about watching and just like that like is the memes, right? And this one made me laugh so much. It was from every outfit on Sex and the City. Apparently that's an account. We survived Skipper, Abu Dhabi, and the death of Mr. Big, but can we survive this? And it's a still of Aiden licking his hand. It's just,
I don't know that we can.
I don't think we can either. And like, what's so interesting about this is like Carrie saying to the girls, you know, it's Aiden. We're doing this thing for 5 years, and her two oldest friends, and I love that scene at the beginning when they're in the lesbian bar, and I'm like, this is what I want. I want the girls in a bar, a coffee shop, whatever, chatting. This is like the bread and butter of the series. And she's saying, oh, we do postcards and this and that. And Miranda and Charlotte are like, okay, you know, that's good for you.
Well, I have to say, the best line of the entire episode was when she said, oh, I'm sending him these postcards of old New York. And Miranda goes, to remind him you're getting old in New York. And that was, to me, like old Sex and the City. I mean, that was like a perfect line from Miranda.
We got a few scenes in this episode that have like, they've really given me hope, like this one included. And then when we see later on, and we'll skip back and forth between the different characters, but staying on Carrie, like when we see her at the ballet with Anthony, and Anthony's like, what are you doing? Like, this is crazy. Like, Anthony and her are finally friends, as opposed to him just being Charlotte's friend, which I like. And he even says that later, you know, this is really new for us to be friends, and I don't want to overstep. And she says, like, I know you're not the only one who's thinking it. You're just the only one who's saying it. And like, she's wandering around, like Michael Patrick King was saying at the beginning, they wanted it to feel like a doll in a huge old dollhouse, just on her own, running around the place. And they wanted her to feel really sparse and like strange where she lived. And she's kind of in this delusion about her and Aiden. And like, then she finally plucks up the courage to phone Aiden to do the next sex scene. And it just goes like from bad to worse.
And he's lying in bed next to his, again, grown son. Like,
yeah.
I mean, and like, as somebody who I have a 12-year-old stepson, there is no way anybody would be lying in bed next to him while he sleeps. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like, I have a 7-year-old who would kick the shit out of me if I slept next to him. Just wouldn't physically work.
Our 12-year-old is very affectionate and like loves spending time with his dad, but I don't think he'd be like, I need you to lie down next to me to go to sleep. And I just, like, my sister's 14-year-old, I think, would rather die than have one of his parents sleep next to him. So that felt unrealistic to me. But Can we move on to Miranda? Because, so you mentioned they were in a gay bar, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is like, because Carrie's waiting for Aiden and Charlotte's obviously happily married to
Mm-hmm.
Pantomime Harry, Miranda's the only one that they can really set up for the kind of romantic thing, especially that Che's out of the picture.
I
So
love her.
Miranda's in this lesbian bar looking to hook up
Mm-hmm.
with someone.
And she gives us a minute
And they're
exposition.
listening.
She goes, I've broken up with my husband. We've sold our house. Brady's living with his dad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm living in with an Airbnb. And I'm like, great. I'm so
And,
glad they didn't show us
and
any of that.
sorry, an Airbnb while Carrie's living in this mansion. Why? Because I also feel like that would be a really interesting dynamic to see Carrie go, come and live in my house with me.
Yeah.
And then them like living like kind of like older but roommates then for a couple of weeks or a couple of months or however long it is. And then like going to look at houses with Seema. I'm like, why wasn't that?
And meanwhile,
Why
Dr.
wasn't that?
Nyla
Like,
Wallace. Dr. Nyla Wallace
why
last
would
season.
Miranda be living? Yeah, but like, why would Miranda be living in an Airbnb? It's just,
I had the same thought.
Really, really off to me. But them in the lesbian bar, I thought listening to Chapel Rowan in the bar was a bit on the nose.
Yeah, I liked
I was
it
like,
though.
okay, like, could you only think of one lesbian like to listen to? It was like a little bit dated. But I did love when Miranda went to order her phony Negroni.
That was really good.
That was a big highlight for me.
It was also a good reminder for us because honestly, I had truly forgotten her alcoholic plot. So I needed it.
Oh, so would I, and I also don't care about it. I would be perfectly fine, although I'm sure it would be problematic. I'd be perfectly fine if she went back to drinking now. Like in a normal way. They all just went for cosmopolitan. So I'm like, I can forget that. Like I don't care about that plot line.
It would be odd though because we saw her in recovery, but again, I'd forgotten. But I'm glad they reminded us. I like it's a fun Sex and the City moment when like the ex babysitter comes up and approaches her, and then it's like, like that's fun. That's what I kind of stuff I want to see. And then she meets the queen, the icon. So excited when Rosie O'Donnell showed up. Like I screamed. I knew she was gonna come up, but I didn't expect her to be in episode 1. So that was thrilling. A new Irish resident. So sorry, Rosemary, you're in the States now, and she's over here.
I know she's the new Dublin Rosie. I had no idea she was in it, so I was truly like, what is happening? What's happening? Because I also haven't seen her I don't think I've seen her blonde. Like I haven't really been paying attention for the last couple of years, so I was really like, that looks like Rosie O'Donnell, but I had to Google it to go, is that really Rosie O'Donnell? It looks like her, but I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually gave us, so Miranda meets Rosie O'Donnell in a bar. She goes home with her, and Rosie O'Donnell reveals that she is not only a virgin but a nun, and that actually for me, that was the best plot point of the whole series.
Yeah.
Sorry. For me, that was like the best plot point of the whole episode,
Mm-hmm.
in that they got to make a lot of jokes about Rosie O'Donnell being a nun.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was kind of one of those kind of ridiculous things, but there was also something sweet about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a lot of comedy because for the next 24, 48 hours, she's texting Miranda to meet up with her at these like various New York tourist spots.
I love that.
And Miranda and Carrie are so derisive, like, oh, she's going to the M&M store. Oh my God, she wants to meet me at Tavern on the Green. Oh, she wants to go and ride the fair. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That it's like they get to kind of, and it's not mean-spirited when they're kind of slagging her
Mm-hmm.
off, but they're just like, oh God, a tourist.
It's just like classic like banter from two New Yorkers, a good dating scenario, an amazing cameo. And apparently Rosie O'Donnell and Michael Patrick King used to do like stand-up back in the day, which is how he got her on.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and she said like she was so happy obviously to get the call and go on. I had a really good time. And it's also doing that thing of like, okay, she's gone now, and we can just have a new person next week. The show hasn't got now hung up on, oh, she's going to be our 8th character. So yeah, I was like, plus she's in Ireland now. She can't be doing that thing, she's gone.
No. Yeah. She just had to go in and out. But I thought that was great.
When we go into, and it ended nicely as well because Miranda's like, don't give up God for me. And she's like, get over yourself. I'm married to God. And that was nice. And I think Miranda was looking out for her as well. Like Miranda's a kind person, which I like to see. Charlotte, we'd already touched on it, but I love Charlotte in the lesbian bar scene because Charlotte's like the wingman. She's supportive of her friends. Like that's the role I like seeing Charlotte in. Like I think she's a nice friend. But and then like I feel like with Lisa Todd Wexley and Charlotte, I just think that the two Upper East Side super rich moms with annoying husbands who are trying to get back to work and also juggle family life, they're too close to me, those two characters. So watching both of them have the same plot, and like the whole dog thing with Charlotte, which like I don't think we should even get into because it was so boring.
It was just so stupid and made Charlotte seem really stupid. And she also they were meant to go to the ballet to see Lily has a crush on this guy who's performing in the ballet. So Carrie and Anthony and Anthony's boyfriend, whose name I don't know and don't care about, and
I love
Lily
him
go
though.
to the ballet. Yeah, I do like him. But sorry, well, there's also a really unrealistic scene where he basically says to Anthony, "You need to be a little bit more delicate. You know, you don't need to be so in your face." And Anthony stops and is like, "Yeah, you're right." And like Anthony would never. Anthony would be like, "This is who I am. Fuck off."
I guess he's
You know what
fallen
I
in love
mean?
with the
Like in the
poet though.
whole, oh, that just annoyed me. But Charlotte doesn't go to the ballet because she has to go and try and find like a dog sitter for her dog. I'm like, you could take 3 hours and leave the dog at home. That just
Yeah.
seemed really
And it's so cool
stupid.
because
But like maybe they were just like, we don't need her in this scene.
they're going to rehearsal at the ballet, which is really cool. Like most people don't get to do that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And like, okay, I understand that Anthony and Carrie are her godparents, but like, if she's going to watch her boyfriend, why is she bringing any of them? Why is she bringing her sister? Isn't she just bringing her own mates? like it's so shoehorned that I thought,
Yeah.
why is she with any of these people at this event? So that
Yeah,
stuff
you're
is
right.
all just like, I don't know. They really like. I thought she was dating Brady last time we talked about it, but am I completely misremembering? I guess that's come and gone as a
Oh,
plot line. Do you remember that? There was
yeah, they definitely
something.
slept together, didn't they? But I'm not sure they
Yeah.
were actually
But
dating.
thank God they
I
didn't
don't
keep
know.
that up. I mean, that would have been like just abominable. But the main thing with Charlotte is when we get to the kind of Lisa Todd Wexley's husband's cocktail party, which is like the main event of the episode, Harry is like gets up and is like clapping along while her husband does this singing, and Charlotte's like, "Sit down, Harry." It's like, why? Like he's participating in the
Well, I
music.
felt like sit down Harry because he was embarrassing me,
Yeah,
but
he is
also
embarrassing.
yeah, they are kind of. I mean, in trying to make Harry the like pantomime clown, they are
Hmm.
making Charlotte the pantomime shrew,
Yeah, they're
or
like
that she has
buffoons.
to be the one to kind of keep him in a seat and keep him from making a scene. And
It just doesn't work. Like
yeah,
Harry
I
was
don't
like,
love it, and I would happily not worry about them.
yeah, I don't think anything works with them. And then we've got the Lisa Todd Wexley plot and her husband, who's also a buffoon, and like she's having this pitch, really important pitch. She's like doing a documentary for PBS, and her husband's just phoning her to say, "Am I cool or not?" And I'm like, this could just be a Harry and Charlotte plot. Like I don't think there's any difference here.
Yeah, you're right.
And then she answers the call and then says, "Oh, you shouldn't have phoned me during a pitch." And I'm like, "Girl, you shouldn't have answered the phone. It should have been on silent.
Yeah, yeah,
So don't blame
yeah.
him."
Her phone was on loud. That was outrageous.
Yeah, outrageous. And I like the idea of her evolving and getting like commissioned this show and she's trying to showcase these like black
Hmm.
women, and then the kind of funny idea that they're like, "Oh, but what about Michelle Obama?" But I'm like, what show am I watching? Like this is just so far away
Yeah,
from the rest of the show. I don't
yeah.
mind
I
any of
mean,
it.
because I think in a weird way they're trying to make because Sex and the City is about sex and dating and like finding love and being single in New York, right?
Hmm.
Originally. And I think in a way they're trying to make it about more than that. So they're trying to say women are about more than just their husbands.
Hmm.
They're about their pitches to PBS and their careers and they're about their dogs and they're about their decorating their houses or
Their
whatever.
dogs.
But I just don't think it works with Lisa Todd Wexley because we don't have enough of a solid foundation with her to care
Yeah.
all that much about her career, I don't
She's like Charlotte's like she's like what Anthony was to Charlotte. She now is, but we never had to
think. Hmm.
watch loads about Anthony before. Now he's just stepped into the kind of a more main role. And yeah, like even we see her and her son, and as soon as her kids shut up, I thought, oh dear God, do we have to watch more kids? But they kind of went away quite quickly. And then it's
Yeah,
like
thank
she's
God.
organized this whole brunch for her husband. But I did see a teaser that she kind of some hot guy enters her life and she might get a bit swayed from her husband. So that then I'm interested.
Oh,
Cheat
I'd
on the
actually
husband?
love that because I hate her husband.
Yeah.
I hated him last season and I hate him now. But you know what? This is really mean. I just hate him because I think she's too good for him.
And they've made him a
Like
buffoon, like the fact that he's like, "Ooh, I'm
they,
gonna open my
yeah.
top buttons and I'm gonna be cool and I'm gonna go on TikTok." It's like, what are we
Oh,
watching? And they've turned him.
I
I
know,
think
an embarrassment.
it was one of my things last night when I was watching, and I thought, okay, Michael Patrick King. I think he has proven to us, particularly during Sex and the City years, less so the movies and just like that he knows how to write women. He actually can't write men. Like both Harry and Lisa Todd Wexley's husbands are like about his age, and he's written them as this. They're the same character. And they're both terrible characters. And it strikes me that Aiden's become a lot worse as well. And then Seema's boyfriend, and let's talk about Seema now. So last where we left her, she was kind of off on a beach with Carrie somewhere, but Carrie had committed herself to Aiden and Seema had kind of committed herself to this director. The thing about Seema is I love her. I think the actress is probably given it more than anyone else in the series. She's so sexy.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mention her. She's actually brilliant.
Yeah. Like the way she was on that bed, I was like, bloody hell, anyone would be lucky. Like, and the fact that the assistants answered the call, like that did make me laugh. What they really realized with the absence of Samantha is they do need like a sexual character. But then the more the episode unraveled, like I love the scene of her and Carrie in the park together. I think her and Carrie's hat, like that was like, to me, that's fun. What do you think of the hat? Because I was into it.
Carrie looked like the baker in Beauty and the Beast. You know, she's like going through the town at the beginning.
She did.
I mean, I thought it was ridiculous. I suppose in a kind of Sex and the City way. You know what? I don't love the fashion though in and just like that. I think they're trying to do what Patricia Field did, but they're missing the kind of magic that made, like, even when Carrie was wearing mad stuff, she looked good.
Mm-hmm.
And in that hat, like, I appreciate that it's mad. I appreciate that it's like off the wall, but she also looks mad. If you know what I mean. She doesn't look good in the way that she did in the series, in my opinion. So I don't love a lot of the fashion choices. Like, also when Charlotte and Lisa Todd Wexley are walking their dogs, I was like, what are you wearing? You look like you're in like a George Michael video.
Yeah,
not in a good way.
I feel like they've really, in a way, this season is like, fuck it, they're all really rich, and we're not going to try and shy around it anymore. Like last time, they're kind of half implying that Miranda was a bit broke because she stayed with Dr. Naya, who, by the way, only had 2 bedrooms and let Miranda stay in one, unlike Carrie. This time they're just like, do you know what? They're all really, really rich. Let's not beat around the bush. Carrie would not live in a studio apartment. She would live in a mansion. This is how Lisa Todd Wexley and Charlotte would dress. Now, I still don't believe that a woman of that age, never mind my age, I can't do it at 39, to wear those little stilettos that are like pinpoints, but they're like 7 inches high and they wander around walking dogs. I'm like, it's actually physically impossible. I know they addressed it in season 1 when Carrie got her hip replaced or whatever, but yeah.
Oh, poor Carrie's hip, and she takes a bad fall this time too.
Oh,
and I was like, a woman with a hip replacement shouldn't be running around her house like this.
Yeah, running around the house, and we didn't even mention what her password was. Do you remember for the her password was
Carrie and Aiden. But sorry, the other egregious part, when she takes the fall, calls Miranda, who's living in an Airbnb, to come and help her in her giant mansion, and then says, I suppose I only hurt my pinky finger, but I'm not sorry I called you. I was like, you are such... I'd forgotten what an absolute cunt Carrie is. And this episode really brought it back to me. I was like, oh, now I remember why and that I hate Carrie.
It's funny because I always kind of come from the position of, like, I'm rooting for Carrie, but I don't like her. But this episode, I thought, by Carrie's standards, she wasn't that bad. I've seen a lot worse from her.
I've seen a lot worse from her too, but... So there were 2 particularly egregious moments. That moment where she said, I'm not sorry I called you, even though it's just my pinky finger, and you came over to my giant mansion from your Airbnb and like, you can leave now.
Yeah, bye.
That part was bad. And the other part that I thought was weird was when they were at the bar and there's a girl across the bar making eyes at Miranda. And it turns out that she's Miranda's old babysitter and that's why she's waving, right? And as soon as they go, oh, she's waving at you, we're leaving. And I was like, would you not just go, the 2 of you go to the bar and get a drink and see what happens? Like, I don't think you would just abandon your friend. That doesn't feel realistic to me.
That was so strange. Like, they legged it. And it's like, is Miranda that desperate that, like, one woman waves at her? And maybe she is, I don't know. But, like, yeah, you'd at least hang around, like, 2 minutes to make sure. I don't know. I agree. Though I'm happy to see them both in the lesbian bar together and then later on in the bar for this Lisa Todd Wexley's husband's event, because at least they were all together again. Like, the show is getting back in its groove in that way. But like when you look at it, and we both said we took such extensive notes, like so much happened, and kind of, as you said, nothing happened. Like, you know, the way episodes of Sex and the City used to be really themed. I think the theme of this episode is that these women are struggling to like gain their own agency, because Carrie's all about Aiden at the beginning, but then by the end, did you notice what happened when she started writing?
She said she started writing and said, and she wondered what she'd got herself into. Wasn't that it?
And it's the first time we've ever seen Carrie writing the third person. We've never seen that before.
Oh,
so that's interesting, right? And the episode
that is interesting. Well,
didn't end on and just like that. So they never said and just like that at the end.
Well, I saw something that said that this season Carrie will be writing romantasy, but I don't know if that was a joke.
I saw that too, and I cannot wait for it. But it was interesting on the, like she said at the start, like, I'm not writing at the moment, to Anthony's boyfriend who's a poet, and he said, well, I write every day. And now I cannot claim that I remembered this. It's when I was listening to the Writers' Room podcast, they said the last time we saw Carrie not writing was when she was in Paris in season 6, when things were going really, really bad for her. When she was
doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, so for Carrie not to be writing, it's actually some sort of a crisis for her. But we've never seen her writing in the third person, because they were saying they think like when Carrie comes back to the page finally, she kind of can't really admit to herself that the Aiden thing's wrong. She doesn't know what to do with it.
Oh,
So she
interesting.
puts it in the third person. And I was like, okay, I'm actually now very interested in the rest of the season because that is a shift. That's not just, we're going to
Yeah.
end every episode and just like that. And the writers' room, they were saying, Carrie can't say and just like that because she can't sum up what's happened to her this week. Like those two disastrous phone sex moments. I mean, there's no coming back from them, really. When she said our sex life is the most honest thing we've ever had, I thought that was interesting. It's an interesting line. Because you always...
I mean, I thought it was interesting too, but like, if you think about her relationship with Aiden, he's always been honest.
Yeah.
Like, she's the one who was like cheating. But I mean, I suppose if you think back about it as well, she was cheating on him with Big. They tried to move to the house in the country, which is what he wanted. It didn't work out. Like, they're not really compatible.
They never have been. In a way, I think they're more
No.
compatible as like long distance. It's just this weird thing that Aiden said about the 5 years, because he's basically wants her to be like celibate and not dating anyone else for 5 years. I feel like she's going to push back on that, and I'm hoping this season we get her dating again.
I would also like to see that, but yeah, I'd be interested to see what happens in the next. I mean, look, I'm going to keep watching it. Obviously,
Oh,
but I'd
God.
be interested to see what happens in the next couple of episodes with her.
I can't wait
But
to
sorry,
watch more.
can we just get back to Seema and her boyfriend for 1 second?
Mhm.
I also have written down, and I don't know if this is like un-PC, but isn't her boyfriend very gay?
I didn't get that. I mean, he's very theatrical because he's a director.
I mean, maybe that's me just being narrow-minded, me like theatrical means gay, but like she comes out of the apartment and he goes, wow, 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 just wow. And it seems very camp, like,
It was
what
very
Anthony or
camp.
Stanford would have said, you know what I mean?
I think what it was she basically said, like, come here or you don't. So he's overcompensating.
Yeah.
Because he knows he's about to open a van and force her to come on a shoot. So he's just
Oh.
trying to butter her up. I think that's what it was, because they were quite sexually charged last season. So,
Yeah, but I was so glad. I was so glad when she was like, this is the end of our movie. Like, see you later, and leaves. I was like, finally.
I liked that, though. I think they went a little bit heavy on the movie stuff and how they finish it up. Like, it kind of took me out of
And the soaring, the soundtrack was a bit over-egged. But yes, I mean, still, like, I like the sound of it.
And it kind of fits into, like, the theme of Seema a bit of this episode of them. They're kind of losing themselves a bit, like Lisa Todd Wexley's trying to do her own thing, and then she's organizing this stupid cocktail party for her husband. Now, who Charlotte's losing herself in, I don't know, a dog? Not quite sure what
the dog.
Charlotte's
and how's that dog still alive?
I know. Is that Richard Burton? Is that the dog? I think it still is.
Yeah.
Who she had before Lily was born, right? Because it was like...
I think so. So it's not realistic that he would still be alive. And like dogs like that don't live that long because they have breathing problems.
And also, like, if he was alive,
specific.
he's not running around Central Park, you know?
No.
What do you think then of this episode? Because it's such a cringe show. What's your cringe moment of this episode? Cringe moment of the week?
Oh, sorry. The cringe moment is Aiden licking his hand, clearly. in the truck. I wasn't embarrassed by him like hitting on the horn. I was like, that's a totally realistic, that would happen. But even then when he's like, no, we can get back to it, that like it, you know what, it's not even the licking of the hand, it was like the kind of desperation of him being like, we can get back to it, like, and also the kind of lack of specificity of like, touch me, or touch yourself the way I like to touch you, or like the way you like when I touch you. And I was like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? That I'm like, I don't know. It all felt really cringe.
It was so embarrassing. There's something, I mean, but also Sex and the City loves to make embarrassing sex scenes, right? So they wouldn't have let it just be a nice sexy scene. But there's something about, I've just gone right off Aiden now. The fact that he phoned her without any warning, he kind of expected her to be immediately available. Then he's like, bye, speak in a year or whenever suits me again. He's gone gross now, but I feel like the show has it in mind that they need to end it up together. So I don't know where it's going, but I hope for Carrie's sake they break up.
Oh God, I hope they don't end up together. Yeah. I really just need them to be done.
Everyone's over it. Everyone's over it.
Yeah, like I did like them as a couple, and I liked him coming back, but just I don't know, the whole when he went back for his son, I think that should have been the moment that he realized, you know what, I have a family and I have kids. Mm-hmm. And I need to be with them because they're not grown yet. Mm-hmm. And I would love for you to come with me because I love you. But if you don't want to, that's fine. And I'll like love you and let you go.
That would have been a lovely
And I think
ending.
that needed to be what happened. Yeah.
And now they're dragging the arse
this season could have opened with her like getting ready to start dating again.
Yeah, just date, Carrie, date, please. She briefly dated last season. And I think it was like one episode and it was so fun. And we're like, but at least we've got Miranda now. And I'm hoping Lisa Todd Wexley has an affair. And what are your hopes kind of over the next couple of weeks? Like, what are you feeling? Excited for next episode? Or are you just going to like grin and bear it?
I mean, can't it be both?
You
I'm
can.
excited, and I'm also going to grin and bear it.
And you've just subscribed to HBO for this series, let it be known.
Yes, I did, but actually, while I was watching, because I subscribed with ads because I'm cheap, but as I was watching, I was like, "God, there's actually a lot of good stuff on HBO," and it did make me go, "Why am I wasting my time watching this when I could be watching like The Last of Us or this interesting looking thing with Robert Pattinson or The Mountainhead with Steve Carell that looks good?" Although they did advertise a lot of like male focused things to me. Anyway,
yeah, because they're like, we have the
I'm
Sex and
looking
the
forward.
City universe. That's all we need to give women.
Yeah. Women have what they need. They have that, and they have Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, exactly.
I am looking forward to seeing Carrie getting back to writing again. I'd be interested to see what she does. I hope it's not romantasy. I would love her to just do what she's good at and write about like her life and dating and her friends. And maybe it's not about dating. Maybe it's just about like, you know, kind of growing up in New York, because like we're all still growing up. You know what I mean? I think we use that too specifically to talk about children growing up. But like in your 20s and 30s and 40s, you're still growing up, and you still feel like you're growing up because you still feel like you have no clue what's going on. I'd love her to write about that. It's like being a woman in your 50s and still trying to figure it out.
I guess she wrote that grief memoir, and then maybe she's just so done with mining herself.
Yeah, but I mean, she could mine her friends like David Sedaris. She could just write kind of like intrusive and nosy things about other people. I would like to see Miranda. I'd like to see Miranda getting a house and like getting out and about with more than just Carrie and Charlotte, or like more than just to a bar looking for a woman. Like I'd like to see her get a bit more of a social life. You know, they used to go to like Charlotte's like gallery openings and meet new people, and the people would just be in it for that episode, like Rosie O'Donnell. I would like to see more of those scenes with her.
And I think she's going to be back at work as well, you know, in her lawyer era. So we'll hopefully, we got some fun workplace stuff last year, remember, with her and like the Gen Zs. So we might get more of that.
Yeah, that was good. I would like to see Seema dating. You know what? I actually wouldn't mind if they did a little bit of a Selling Sunset and we saw Seema showing people around some nice apartments, because I always enjoy a bit of like property porn.
Yeah.
So I'd like if they shoehorned in a little bit of that for Seema. I don't care about Lisa Todd Wexley and her partner, and I don't really care about Anthony and his boyfriend either. Like you know, they can stick around, but I need them to be on the peripheral.
I think they were peripheral enough this episode that I felt comfortable. I'm like, oh, you're not trying to also make them main characters. I'm okay with that. But I'm excited. I am excited. It's funny because when I watched it, and like, by the way, it's 8 a.m. Rosemary's time as we record this, and she watched it at 9 p.m. last night. So she initially watched it, made her notes, went to bed, and woke up to do this. So did you dream about it?
So it's fresh.
It's very fresh.
No, but also I have a 5-month-old baby, so I'm up. Like I went to bed, I got up at 12, I got up at 2, I got up at 4. Wow. Like I'm, you know. So no, there's no time for dreaming. There's only you've just got to sleep and then you're awake again.
There's no time for dreaming. Just like maybe like a vague vision of Aidan licking his own hands right as you fall asleep, just to like night terrors.
Actually, you know what? Even like I know I said that was the worst moment, but the teeth were worse for me. You need to go back and look at that scene because you could just see his bottom teeth, like Charlotte's dog. Like he's just kind of gurning in the car. It's really weird.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and watch it, and I don't want to, but I will because you've asked me to. Thank you so much for coming back and talking about this episode. It's so fun. You must tell everyone where they can find you. By the way, Rosemary constantly mines personal experiences for writing, which is probably why she's advocating for Carrie to do so. I've just read Rosemary's memoir for the second time, called This Is Not About You. It's absolutely brilliant. I feel like I've just read all about your sex life and now I'm talking to you. It's oddly intimate.
Well, I mean, you've read about my historical sex life due to aforementioned 5-month-old. The sex life is
it's a cracker of a read though. Every chapter is a different story about a different man in your life, and we like are the same age, and I can follow the timeline of everything that's happening in relation to my own life, and I found it like you just I'd read a chapter every night before bed. It's such a good read.
Oh, thank you. Well, you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Rosemary McCabe. I have an A in my Mac, which is kind of awkward. And then I'm on Substack, rosemarymccabe.substack.com. And my sister and I have a podcast called Not Without My Sister that used to come out every week on a main feed. We've had a little bit of a break, so we're Patreon only for the moment, just while we figure out our schedules with the new baby, and she's moving to Tennessee in the next couple of weeks, so things have been a bit all over the place. But yeah, I mean, you can find me almost everywhere. I did leave Twitter out of protest.
Same, yeah.
A couple of years ago, so I'm not on Twitter anymore. And I am on Blue Sky, but I don't ever post.
Do you know what? We're enjoying Blue Sky actually. But for anyone who hasn't listened to Not Without My Sister, though, it's a lovely podcast between two sisters, and they can go back and find old episodes, you know, on the main feed if they haven't listened.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
100.
So it's just like a nice glimpse into two sisters' worlds, I think, which I really like. So thank you so much, Rosemary, for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have you, and
Thank you.
You will be back again this season, I promise.
I will.
Bye.
Yeah. And just like that, it came to an end. Bye.
Oh, and I meant to say, because we mentioned The Last of Us and all the HBO stuff, for anyone who wants to hear, typically we do TV reviews over on our Patreon. So we've just finished The Last of Us, we're doing Andor, we're doing The Studio, we're doing a ton of stuff over there. But as I said, this is my Super Bowl, so and just like that makes it onto the main feed. Bye.
I won't give up.